Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. This week's Fool is Honest Bob Jenrick. Remember him, the guy who ordered the painting over of murals at an asylum reception centre. Robert is running to be Tory leader, and he knows that he needs to have the crazies of his party on board if he is to win. So what better way than to tap into English nationalism? However, Jenrick didn't really have his homework done when he tried to suggest that English identity is at risk from what he claimed as mass migration. He was asked a number of times to define English identity, and he couldn't. What an absolute fool.
What is English identity?
Well, just as every nation has its own distinct history and culture, so does ours in England.
What is it?
Just as we would know what, a Frenchman would know what France stands for.
What is English identity then, Robert Jenrick?
Well, it's the history and the culture of our country. And I think England has an incredibly proud history. We have achieved so much in the world, and we should be celebrating that. We should be teaching it to our children. Our public institutions should be ensuring that it is passed on to the next generation, not carelessly denigrated and dismissed. And we should be ensuring that we don't lose it through mass migration.
If you can't describe what English identity is, how is anybody coming here meant to understand that?
Well, I don't think, with great respect, that you distill the identity and the history of England into a soundbite like you're asking of me. There are things that I love about this country.
You've tried to distill it in an op-ed for the Daily Mail, haven't you?
Well,
that's what you've tried to do. When I think we've
I think I made a very different point to that, with all due respect. You, I suspect, are trying to dismiss an English politician speaking about our national identity. I think it's incredibly important.
Sorry, but he's not dismissing you. He's asking you a simple question. Can you define English identity? He's asked you a number of times to define it. You're the one who's running on this platform. It's not him. It's not the journalist. You're the one who's saying, I'm going to defend English identity. You're the one who's saying English identity is under threat. All you're being asked is a simple question. Please define English identity.
That we do talk about it. And I don't think that you distill it into English identity. I don't think you distill it into a soundbite. I think it is something that people across our country know about.
Give me some examples then of what English identity represents.
Well, to me, it is the distinct history of our country. It is the great things that, as a country, England has achieved in the world. It's our values, it's the courtesies and manners that we have as a nation. I don't think you would be asking a Scottish politician or a Welsh politician right now, what is Scottish identity?
He could simply ask the same question. If they said, I want to protect Scottish identity, a simple question would be, can you explain what Scottish identity is? And then you would imagine the Scottish MP or Scottish politician would say, yes, this is what it is. The same for a Welsh MP or a Northern Irish MP. They would explain, this is what Northern Irish identity is, this is what Welsh identity is. Why does somebody who claims to know what English identity is have such a difficulty in actually defining it, explaining it?
Welsh identity, you're making the very point, if I may say, that I was setting out to do in my article in the Mail. It's the fact that influential people in our politics, in our media, in our civil service feel afraid to speak about our national identity, feel that it's not something that we should be championing and handing on to the next generation.
How can people be afraid of something that they can't define? You're saying, I'm afraid, we're not allowed to talk about English identity. You've been asked, 3-4 times to explain what English identity is, and you can't. Look, I believe identity is very much a personal thing, but it is on a national level. For example, in Italy, food is part of the identity. For Italians, food is very important. Not just eating the food, but how it's presented, the way it's cooked. It's deep within their culture. For example, it's frowned upon to eat a pizza with a knife and fork. Drink as well, wine. If you go to Germany, beer is part of the culture. But for example, it was very simple. If Robert Jenrick is from England and he doesn't know what English identity is, for example, football and cricket is part of English identity. Afternoon tea is part of English identity. The monarchy. English humour, very much part of the English identity. And of course, the class system. which we can argue whether is a good or bad thing. These are aspects of British identity. How is it possible that I can come up with these things, but Robert Jenrick can't? Because Robert Jenrick is not interested in football or cricket. He's not interested in afternoon tea. He's interested in something different. English nationalism, not English identity. And that's a very different kettle of fish. So either he's been dishonest or he's just a fool. And that's why he's our Fool of the Week. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time.